like AI is not only for large companies and for rockets and for interplanetary life. The rate at which AI is multiplying and it allows us to get more and more efficient is tremendous. But our time is so precious when you're literally touching 30 different things at the same time. My emails are scraped. I wake up, my emails are scraped. My urgent priorities are highlighted in front of me right now.
Are you ready to hear more? Welcome to the Bulletproof Your CPG Brand podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurial founders to protect runway, improve execution, compete smarter with the resources they already have. I'm your host, Dan Lohman. Now, let's roll up our sleeves and get started. Suzie, thank you for coming on again today. And again, when I say again, I mean you're here in episode 139, and that was a masterclass in brand positioning. So thanks again for coming back. And let's start by talking a little bit about yourself and who are you and how did you get to where you're at?
Okay, great. Well, I'm thrilled to be on a second time. It's quite a privilege. I'm an engineer turned marketer. 35 years ago, I graduated McGill, and my first job was a bit wild. I took a marketing job at Procter Gamble. So that was the first time a non-business grad had been hired. I stayed at P&G a pretty long time. I followed my boss to Frito-Lay, and then I got a big promotion, big job at Heinz. So I climbed the ladder in CPG. I was a very young director, and then I got pregnant with my first daughter, and then I got a big job at Weight Watchers as a VP of marketing. So I had the 5 multinationals. I did Conagra in the middle. And I became known as a turnaround agent. I was, initially at P&G, I was put on. My last assignment was a really tough assignment. The brand had been declining for 5 years. And there's not a lot of brands at P&G that decline for that long. So I kind of turned that around. Doritos, they hired a new marketing manager because the brand had been declining for 3 years. Then I launched Tostitos into Canada, and then both ketchup and Weight Watchers were declining brands. So I was starting to kind of find my niche of like, I'm kind of the go in there, fix it, blow things up. Usually it's people positioning and processes were kind of the 3 themes. You didn't turn around big ships with just like, a little promotion or a little bit of fluff. These were hard brands to turn around. Especially ketchup and Weight Watchers had been really, really battered for 10 years and had some smart VPs before me. And then, I moved to fractional at the end of I did 2 hyper growth companies as CMO, VP of marketing CMO. And I really got a feel for like the addiction of taking a brand from 10 million to 100 million. I was really fortunate as a Canadian VP of marketing to do that twice in the late 2000s. And then I was just doing fractional stuff because I was like, well, wait a minute, I do the strategic plan, the sales plan, the innovation, all the consumer research is still my niche. And I just got an idea to launch Good Fats because I read the book from Nina Teicholz, and I'm like, wow, there's something happening here. There's going to be a lot of doctors writing books. I think there was 3 already in the works. And I'm like, I'm a brand builder. So why don't I just launch a brand knowing like, Chobani had kind of got on to really kind of exploded to $1 billion with protein. They got known as like the protein yogurt, and then gluten-free had taken off. And then I was just like, well, somebody Atkins 20 years before had kind of conveyed low carb. It was a bit too complicated for me, but I like somebody is going to just tap into this trend of good fats. And indeed, I was right at the right time with the right brand. I was adamant that the brand needed to be called Good Fats. I did 4 rounds of research. Consumers were like, oh, I don't know if I want to buy a brand called Good Fats, but those were early adopters. As soon as the keto kind of backwinds it took the brand from 8 million year 1, the first 12 months were 8 million, 8.2, 47 million year 2, 30 million year 3, despite COVID. Year 3 was smack in the middle of the first year of COVID. So it was really an exercise of everything I had learned before, like how to turn around or launch, Tostitos, we were 50 million year 1 when I launched it for PepsiCo. Like, how do you kind of take all of that? The difference is it's your own money, it's your own time, it's your own job. You're the founder, you're the one raising funding and kind of saying, like, I believe I have something. And it just worked really well. In the end, Love Good Fats wind up being sold to the second largest investor. And I didn't have, common shares. We didn't have millions and millions of dollars of exit as we on paper had prior to COVID. But it was a really good experience in at age 50 learning, you can scale a brand. And I now have like 9 years of board governance experience and raising funds. The whole VC world has changed. Like everything post COVID like has changed dramatically kind of twice, like during COVID and the immediate 2 years after. And then the last 2 years, it's Wild West and packaged goods again. So you definitely see cycles, and GLP-1 and protein and fiber is nuts again. So like over the 35 years, I've seen a lot of cycles, but these are big cycles that are hitting us. Like in a big, the same as AI is massive, right? We haven't had this amount of massive trend shifting or habit and share changing trends that really reshape entire categories. So it's certainly a fun time to be where we are, to be part of it.
It is interesting. Thank you for sharing all that. And that's a lot more than you shared last time. So thank you for all the depth. And first of all, I love the fats, the idea behind it. A lot of people
Yep.
don't understand that's important. Avocado, it's good fats,
Yep.
etc. But getting back to where you're at, you're right. This is a very different time, and brands are struggling to make margin and control it and stuff like that. So thank you for positioning that, because this is a very difficult time, certainly in this country. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but I imagine you're probably under a lot of the similar stresses. So
Yep.
why did you start Little Cacao? What was the problem you're trying to solve there?
Yep. Well, the Little Cacao Company, I think, you get as a late blooming entrepreneur. I started at age 50. You get a bug, the same as it's hard to just do one Ironman or one marathon. You get a bug, especially with Ironman. And then it's like, I had my bug in my 20s. I took a 9-year break, and then I just had to come back in my 40s, and I did 7 more. I had the advantage of having like big CPG, a really strong CMO, fractional CMO business, and then a founder CEO. So I could pick any of the three. I could have also uh, just done to brand building, because this was nearly 5 years ago that I stepped out. And, I had a partial brand built up, and now we never knew how big TikTok could be and personal brand building could become back then. But I kind of already had an inkling, like I could just, if I focus for 12 months on building my brand with the different buckets that I have and expertise, that could have been my full time. At that point, I didn't necessarily want to jump in. Now I look at, the thousands of content creators, like I have 6 years as the marketing person on whatever, and let me give you all this advice. So I kind of knew there was 3 potential paths that I could be pursuing. I had a big CMO job of a US company that also that I'd worked for before and scaled from 10 to 100 million. So I was kind of comfortable in that pushy CMO chair, but I just got drawn, I got drawn back to the entrepreneurship. I was an expert in functional bars, so energy bars, protein bars, fat bars, and that whole world. And I became quite an expert in bars, and bars is a really tough category. But then while I was in my CMO job, I had like a broker in South America that was looking for a marketer, because there was a factory in Ecuador that was looking for, like, they were doing some private label, and they're finally kind of piercing through a little bit in the US, but they needed a brand builder, because they didn't want to stay and just do private label. It's a tough business. You get squeezed by the big boys down there. So lo and behold, now I know so much about chocolate, but they had a good little chocolate line and had learned and developed how to mix vitamins into the chocolate. And also, when I, when they met me and we started spending some time together, I just said, I want you to put protein in, similar to Quest was putting protein in their cups, but a whole bunch of really bad artificial sweeteners and stuff, which is like I would never do that. So I started working both ways. A functional chocolate with adaptogens, ashwagandha, energy, claims, like benefit claims, and vitamins. So basically a chocolate family. And it was pretty novel. Like I was the brand builder, and these guys had never really done that. We wound up doing a joint venture, and it's hard enough to have partners in either Canada or the US where you speak the same language, you have the same kind of respect of areas of expertise. But their plant was like, it wasn't a fit at all. The plant wasn't, I was bringing 30 years of brand building, and they were bringing 5 years of, a couple of factory runs in the plant. And then, as soon as I raised money, that it just went sideways, then there's money in the bank account, and then it's like, no. So, so that though got me 2 years immersed in learning about chocolate. So I really started spending, like I quit my full-time job and I really started spending time saying, like, I know there's something there. And sometimes, it's not always the first partner or the first idea, their second idea. But I was like, wow, like I discovered the cacao beans, and the beauty of Ecuador and Peru are the two main South American areas that are quite unique. Ecuador because of the volcano soil, and then Peru because it's the best microclimate, best soil in the world. And I discovered that cacao beans are full of flavanols. And it's like, wait a minute, flavanols are the antioxidant that for 40 years I have to take my antioxidants to kill those free radicals that are causing my muscles to ache with my killer workouts, right? It's like you need antioxidants to offset the bad free radicals. Like all athletes knew that. And now I'm touching, holding, and making a product in a factory that's the highest flavanols in the world in terms of percentage and weight, and the second highest in antioxidants. It's 100 or 95 ORAC value versus 100 for acai berries. So I was like, whoa, like, I can't believe this. How come we don't know this? Like, it's kind of like, how come we don't know this? It's like, imagine 30 years ago before acai berries, and I don't know how to pronounce it in the French way, but I was like, whoa, so there's something here. So bean to bar, don't process with alkali, have a craft bean to bar factory, get the beans from the right soil, then they have to ferment in the wood boxes. Then you have 10 days, which daily you rotate the basins so that you have the right amount of sun for 10 days in a row. So it's a 15-day process, all the stuff that the cell culture cacao beans now are getting called out for, because they just put it in a petri dish and then they're like, oh, we have more flavanols than this. Like, first of all, you have to grow in the soil for 8 months, and you have to have if you have flowers and fruits around the little backyard gardens. They don't have fields in South America. It's little homes with backyard gardens where the family works. The bean develops flavor. Then you do the proper steps after. Then you bring it in the plant and you do the roasting, not at a crazy temperature. And then you don't soak them in alkali, which is the fast way that, Africa and all of Europe does. Oh, we do the Dutch method, and it's dark and it doesn't taste bitter. Yeah, but it's nothing. I don't even know what's the nutritional value of cacao beans when you strip out all the flavanols. So I kind of knew there was something. So then I was kind of like, look, I 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of experience, 10 trips to South America, 2 factories, 1 joint venture. And then I started looking at factories in Canada. And lo and behold, there's a factory in Vancouver that the founder, he's had for 10 years, no alkali. He has the license to make vitamins, but he didn't have the actual NPNs. Like, it was like, I can't believe my luck. So, I just kind of had to one foot in front of the other. I had to pivot here, I had to pivot there. Like every time there's always a chance to just quit, hang up and, like retire, go do podcast. Like, I could have done like, okay, I'm going to just, spend time with my doggies. But nobody, like, I think there's something huge with healthier chocolate that comes from the land. Of course, I launched by the time I signed the joint venture, cacao beans was $2.29 per kg, and then it moved to $10 and $12. So hundreds and hundreds of companies went out of businesses, brands went out of businesses, distributors went out of business. Farmers in South America rejoice because it's commodity pricing, so they finally were getting paid fairly. But Africa has been decimated for 3 or 4 years. And but now timing, like again, I don't know if it's too much of good luck, but now the market got contracted. Big chocolate CPG replaced cacao with other oils and garbage stuff. So now there's a surplus of cacao beans, and they're gonna invade the world starting later this year with the cell-grown cacao. I guess being, I don't know what it's called, powder, mass, whatever it's called. So, I'm just trying to do my part. And at the same time, Trump says, picks a big battle with Canada. And in Canada, we have to do everything we have to do to kind of foster investing in entrepreneurship here. So I bought a factory. So I don't have any grants or anything yet, but Carney's promising that, if you have people like us who kind of put everything on the line to become an entrepreneur and build Canadian ecosystem, that there's something in it for us. So now I just got to finish this acquisition. I hired 2 senior leaders, one in ops and one in finance, so I can get that off my plate, because I don't mind doing it, but it takes me away from my superpower. So my ops guy started today, so it's a pretty happy day, and I'm looking forward to just going back to my superpower of like building a brand. So I think I got the 3 Ps right. Like I pick a good name, the product's fabulous, and we're going to make sure we retain our uniqueness, and the price is right. It's like it's a premium product, but not like some, you look at Whole Foods, some of the chocolates there, we're not priced at that price. And I put some with like they all have prebiotic fibers, 12 to 16 grams, all of them. And some of them have protein. I'm launching some without protein now. I have vitamins and on the shelves at Walmart. Like I'm doing proof of concept in Canada, so I can kind of come down once we get scale and then roll that out into the big leagues in the US.
I'm excited that you said that. I love your passion, first of all. I mean, your passion's amazing. Let me back up a little bit. I had the privilege of working closely with a big supplement company, Whole Food supplement company.
Yep,
And they worked, well, Mega Food. And not to
yep,
sing their praises, but this was a long time
yep,
ago. And the
yep,
cool thing was, I had an opportunity to listen to people like Trina Lodog and Dr. Weil. So I
yep,
understand
yep,
exactly what you're saying. And
yep,
being a former athlete, I get it. So thank
yep,
you for sharing all that, because this stuff matters. That's what
yep,
makes natural naturals. We're solving problems, but not just solving the surface level stuff. We're digging deeper and
yep.
mission based, et cetera. So thank you for sharing that. So now that you're up and running, the problem you're trying to solve is bringing chocolate to our world. Or is it also trying to bring everything that you just mentioned, the flavanols and everything? By the way, they call them acai berries here, but
Acai, acai.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not processed, it's
Acai.
processed. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Um,
Yeah.
so, but no, I love that. I think it's processed. But anyhow, so with that said, how is that going in terms of you making that difference for you, making helping people understand the why?
Yeah. Well, we're just starting off. So, I have a line of vitamins, which you just taste the vitamins, and then consumers are in disbelief, retailers are in disbelief. This is pure chocolate. And you don't even need to get into the story of flavanols. It's like, wow, it tastes amazing, and it replaces gummy bears or pills. So that's been really easy. It's the only in North America. I think there's a little chocolate mushroom in the US, but there's not really just a line of chocolate vitamins. And then so it's in proof of concept here. And then we're on Amazon, and we have our website, and we're in about 500-600 stores in Canada. So we're kind of proving our way. It's a bigger hurdle because once a mom gets the kids multivitamin, like it's sold itself, because first it's a delicious low sugar healthy chocolate with cocoa butter. So the absorption of the fat soluble nutrients is 100% versus most all gummies and all pills you need to take with fat. So your mom used to say, take your vitamin with food. So we have an automatic absorption claim, and we have a delicious new way to take vitamins. And our sleep is a super, super formula. We put 5-HTP and GABA in addition to the clinical dose of melatonin, 2 adaptogens. Like it's like an incredible formula. So you feel it working right away. So we have that in proof of concept. Vitamins is a big category, and it's expensive to break through. We have a good little 15-second ad that's airing. But in the meantime, when I was in my first joint venture, I really just wanted to have like a functional chocolate with protein in it, and kind of, at least have a healthy version of Quest mini cups, like pure chocolate. So I have a little 13-gram chocolate mini cup. I put nibs on it because nibs are all the longevity gurus. You make sure that the nibs are not processed with alkali, and then you can literally just have mega doses of antioxidants, flavanols, with just sprinkling nibs on your Greek yogurt. So I put the nibs on the chocolate. That's a bigger thing in South America. It hasn't hit here yet. So it's like, okay, come on, I'll bring that. That's my little doggy from my rescue from Greece. And then I just said, like, okay, well, there's protein in the little mini cups, and let's just do bars. So in Canada, there's 2 brands that have dabbled into a pure chocolate bar with protein. Then protein exploded. So I have, chocolate with protein already. I'll just give you a sample. This is just an old mock-up, but it kind of looks like it's a chocolate bar with protein, and there's nibs on the top. So there's 2 brands that have a little bit of protein, lots of prebiotic fiber, 12 to 16 grams, but it tastes like delicious pure chocolate because the factory that I just bought. So in January, I wind up buying the little factory that can make my chocolates. And we conch in the factory. So we don't just, 90% of the chocolate, they just buy the pieces, and they just melt them and then temper them and mold them, and that's it, and cool them, and that's it. But the magic, especially if you want to get either, adaptogens, or if you want to get protein and extra fiber, you put it in the conch. So that's where it can get smooth. It takes 24 hours, not 20 minutes. So it's, it's just about bean to bar, because I don't want to roast. I don't want to be bringing in unroasted beans into Canada. I get my container straight from Peru. So it, like, for many, many reasons, like if they're roasted, by the time they hit the container, we're not going to have any contamination. So I can't say bean to bar, but like most consumers don't know what that is anyway. So it's like roasted nibs, and the cacaos, and then I melt and conch everything at the factory. So the chocolate is much, much better. And the brand that I bought with the factory has a couple $1 million off business. It's a 30-year-old brand. The brand's called Ross. It's a diabetic gentleman that started selling diabetic chocolate 30 years ago. So I kind of, for many reasons, I have my new brand. I have a factory that I can buy with shares, because I don't, I didn't buy the factory with cash. I'm still cash strapped. And I inherit a brand that has a little bit of volume, and EDI is connected at Loblaws and Sobeys. So it's I instantly grew by a couple $1 million too. So I'll take that. But the idea is to build a mega brand, healthy chocolate, the best cacao processed, very, very light processing, retain all the flavanols and the antioxidants because there's no alkali, high fiber, high protein, rich, authentic cacao flavor, 100% single source from Peru. That's
Very cool.
like it hasn't. I think it resonates, but I have a brand to build with that in mind.
That's very exciting. I would never put Hershey in the same bucket with you,
No,
but
yeah,
no, because yeah,
yeah,
I wouldn't.
yeah,
So I apologize for that. But
yep,
what I'm getting at is the consumer that is looking at what's happening with the Reese's peanut butter cups and stuff like that, how
yep,
they're getting in trouble and getting exposed.
yep,
The cool thing is that negative awareness for them, I think
yeah.
opens door for you, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
So
The high level trends are really in my favor because the prices come all the way back down to $3. Now there's a surplus. So number one, it's because Africa's crops got resolved, but then so many people exited, like so much kilotons exited. Now there's sell cacao. All big, large chocolate companies have contracts with lab grown, cell grown. So the capacity is going to become even more available. So the poor farmers are getting a pretty bad deal in that whole thing. But and I have an established brand that's hopefully claiming the high ground with a real cacao bean. It's not the little cell cacao beans. It's like the real stuff. And there's so much bad press with big chocolate. For 10 or 20 years it was child labor, and now it's like everything. They all remove chocolate, like Hershey's removed cacao entirely from their products. Then the grandchild like complain, and then okay, they're gonna put 2% back in, and like they're getting rightfully so, the candy bars, when you kind of see, not only do they really destroy the cacao bean, but then you have the bad oils, and you have all of the additives. Like, it's by the time you get the candy bar in your hand and your mouth, like it's really not a good product. So
no, no.
with what we know now, and we're all trying to, FDA is focused on processing, and we're obviously dyes. So I hope that, I have a product that for those who want like a higher quality chocolate, who can afford it, because chocolate is, like a treat. So we're all very, Canada and the US, there's a lot of people that don't have enough money to make ends meet for their groceries at the end of the week. So I think, building a brand in such an economic challenging times is not easy, but hopefully there's enough of the right trends that can allow us to get off the ground and going, because that's what kills the ability, even from big CPG when they launch brands. You have to have a lot of things go right, and then spend a lot of money for things to work in your favor.
Thank you for sharing. What I do in my day job, so to speak, is I help brands navigate that, what you're talking about.
Yep.
And I will tell you, I'm going to send you something that I did a long time ago. And the point being is that mission-based, those products that speak to that consumer, that's where the opportunity is.
Yeah.
And that's where you're skating to where the puck is going before the play starts. That's why I made that reference. But the point being is that I think you're well positioned. So I'm really excited about what you're doing. And the cool thing is, because I know I'm watching the clock, because I know we're kind of limited on our time and I want to respect it. So the cool thing is, now that you've got that, you're classically trained in big CPG, same as I was, which, by the way, the reason I'm saying that is because the training is unbelievable. So I wish small brands had that. So they have
Yep.
us, hopefully,
Yep.
to help them get that education. One, and then two, you've got all that fractional training. So thank you
Yep.
for sharing that and putting that together. So one of the things that I'm really impressed with you about as an individual is how you mentor other brands, how you take a leadership role. So I'm going to merge two of the topics that I mentioned to you. So you've got LinkedIn and you've got the small brands. The way that you encourage and help and support those brands, hats off to you. That is so cool. Can you talk a little bit about your passion around helping those brands. What do you see there? What are you trying to accomplish? For me, it's my mission is to help brands like yours get more runway with available resources so that you can do more
Yep.
good on our behalf. Okay, that's kind of me. What is
Yep.
it that you do? Because I'm sure that you have something very similar.
Yep. It just started off, as soon as I stepped away from good fats and then I took the CMO job, I had one founder, another founder, another founder. Hey, can I get 15 minutes? Can I get this? Can I get that? So, like, I would pick up the phone. I had a full-time job and it was always the same thing. So it was always like, my brand's not growing. I'm not sure why. I don't know what to do. And then they would show me the packaging. Then I would ask, what's the positioning? And I was like, oh dear. So what I was trained and I've done for 30 years, which is I kind of call it the 4 Ps to keep it really simple. That's all. The first 3 Ps are always the root of the issue, and the fourth P is just to get money, your P&L, to be able to spend to make your positioning, product, and price value come to life. But many founders rush to market with the first 3 Ps, and then it's like, oh, it's not working well. So whether you're trying to turn around, a 200 million Doritos brand or a like 200,000 startup brand, the principles are the same.
Hmm.
So it just started with, picking up the phone and saying like, okay, I just have a few minutes. I'm like, I had been a fractional, I had a full-time job. I don't need to charge for half an hour here and there. But then it was always the same messages. As soon as I was like, well, I can't really help you. Send me your brand positioning, send me your packaging, your website, let me look at it. And it was always the same thing. So then I'm like, okay, here's like mini master, here's the brand positioning format that I use is the P&G format. Fill it out. I don't come on a call with me if it's not filled out because it's not worth it, right? Then it's filled out and it's like all over the map. Like the benefit statement is 2 paragraphs. I had brands send me most of the time. I had one again this week. Brands are sending me like 120-page consulting deck from whatever agency, and I don't even know where to find the brand positioning because there's like 1,700 in there. So it just started with like, okay, well, I can kind of give you some direction. I'm not taking fractional, but I need some basics. So then at one point I was like, okay, this is the third call that I'm saying the same thing. I just said on LinkedIn, like, just join, this one call. And then like 20 people signed up and then 50 people. And like, we have now the largest CPG founders helping founders group on WhatsApp. So we're like 204, it's in Canada, but we're 204 founders. It's really active. You have every single topic and it's organic, right? It's founders helping founders. So I moderate it. We have to kind of make sure there's like all WhatsApp, there's little rules of engagements and stuff, but it's kind of self-fulfilling. Like there's more and more founders now in Canada, and all of the basics, right? Unify and purity and MCBs and how do I get awareness and demos and consumer shows and trade shows, this distributor, that distributor, which grants, the list goes on and on. So it's all day long. It's like bing, bing, bing with some back and forth. And it's a really cool group initially. So I was doing master classes every month because then I quit my CMO job and I started the previous version of the Little Cacao. And I was doing master classes once a month with the co-founder because I didn't really want to do this. And then Karen said, oh, you should jump in and I'll help you. And then we had events like 3 times a year we got together, but then it just got a little bit too much. Like my full-time job now is really demanding. So I haven't had a salary in, I guess, 4 years. I was just doing but now I'm like, I'm full in, but the group is up and running. We're getting new members every week. We got 2 more today. And it's kind of fun. It's really all about helping each other. And I try to post, I have a lot of buckets that I could share. Like I could easily be full-time, just content creator, and I'd have different buckets to share. Like I'm multifaceted founder that, I could talk about my dogs and I'm gay and I'm single mom and I've done Ironmans and I build brands and I'm now an entrepreneur. And 5 multinationals, I've seen it all. So nearly every topic I could go deep on. But I don't have time. I'm just like literally I'm submitting some deals today and, meeting deadlines on Wednesday for a big grocery chain. And So I try to do my best, and the group's like up and running now, so it's easier.
Well, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and again, my hats off to you because I see some of the interaction on LinkedIn. Obviously, I'm not on your app, but I'm on LinkedIn and I just think it's so cool. The thing I love about Natural is people like you
Yeah,
helping the community.
yeah, we're
And
one family.
it is. We are. I love that. So thank you for that. So I know we're getting a little bit close. I've got about 6 minutes left. So now that leads us to the other cool thing is you're all in on AI. So now you found a way to automate yourself, which is
Yeah,
super, super cool. I love AI. I've been able to do so many
yeah.
cool things with it. Talk about your what you've learned, what you're doing with it, and why it matters.
Well, it's a big deal for us founders. I'm on TikTok, but whether you're on YouTube or Instagram, I don't know if Instagram has as many as the reels as TikTok, but um, first, like AI is not only for large companies and for rockets and for interplanetary life, as Eon is raising money to go public with, but it's also for us entrepreneurs, where for 35 years I fill out forms. I do, everything is manual. Sure, Excel got a little bit better, and sure, an ERP got a little bit better. Sure, S&OP got automated, but the agency model was all the same. You do your concept work, you write a tight brief once you've hit your concept scores and you have a strong positioning, and then you hope that the creative team will come up with some, and then you have to spend $500,000 to 10 million to bring the production to life, and then have the media plan. Like, there's been like minimum incremental changes in the industry in terms of efficiency, and I'm an engineer. I was never kind of leading edge. Like, I was at McGill when some of the, like, us nerds back then, like, we were building computers in our classes, and we were working with MS DOS, I guess. So a lot of the guys from back then like wind up creating massive, massive startups. I just went into business right away. But as soon as I kind of saw what AI has to offer, and it's all about efficiency, I got really excited because, when I was at Good Fats and the company was worth nearly 300 million, like every 15 minutes of my time was, I don't know, I did the math, like hundreds and hundreds of, like over 100,000 or something crazy of in terms of value. So, like, I've always been about efficiency. Like, Ironman is, imagine if you can improve your pedal stroke by 1.5% over 6 hours. If you can just change your posture and your breathing by, 0.5%, and you're running, like, that's the difference between podium and not podium. So, like, I'm an efficiency machine. Like, I just get annoyed when we waste time on stuff that could be avoidable. AI is all about, like, for entrepreneurs. Like, last week, Claude just installed the small business kit. 2 days ago, the legal plugin. So it's like, soon, I'm sure, I don't need to ask, but soon the ERP is the next plugin we need. So then you have your ERP plug into your QuickBooks. Literally, the order comes in from Costco, checks the inventory, schedules the production. Here, boss, sign all the POs. We buy some of our packaging from China. Okay, boom, get it on boats. Boom, boom, boom. The port is right there. Okay, production, now it's booked. Okay, it goes out the door, bing, in your bank account. Like, it's I don't know, a year away, and then you have like 4 or 5 robots running around in the little factory. Manufacturing's all going to get automated. So I don't know if us smaller brands are going to be last, but I'm not going to be last, right? Like, I want efficiency, because the quicker I can kind of find ways to save me 45 minutes on this and spend just 15, the better. So I've invested a lot of time just learning, and then this I'm also on podcasts because I walk my doggies. I try to run. I try it now. I'm going to try to bike. So I'm either podcast or nothing. Podcast, TikTok, or nothing. I don't, nothing being sleeping. I don't have an off switch, but the rate at which AI is multiplying, and it allows us to get more and more efficient, is tremendous. So I can't even, I listen to all of the big visionary stuff. Like, I don't even know in 5 years, like, where my factory would be. That being said, my brother's a plumber, so he's top of the list these days in the AI like videos. If he's has a safe job type of thing. But our time is so precious when you're literally touching 30 different things at the same time. My emails are scraped. I wake up, my emails are scraped. My urgent priorities are highlighted in front of me right now. I'm still doing a lot of coaching. I have a very junior team, so I'm still kind of like, okay, let's go through this. All of our SOPs are being uploaded. I don't have my email deployment yet. I spent 2 hours, boom, I'm nearly there with my email deployment. It's like Claude is just asking, do you want us to connect? And I'm like, okay, one more audit of the copy. So it's a whole new world. The Diary of a CEO, all of his guests say that by using our brains this much I'm going to be pushing 60 soon, like it'll help delay the onset of any cognitive issues and keep us going sharp. So definitely in this decade, my brain's back to being on fire, and it's supposed to be a good thing. So let's go. I'm having fun right now. I'm certainly not bored, and I'm learning new things every day, and I'm a little bit frustrated. Claude and chat, have to be told they're not listening a few times, but that's kind of part of the journey. So it's all good.
Well, and also going back to what you said earlier, and I know we got to go in a second, is that person you're talking about with having a hard time getting the clarity, it's amazing what it does in terms of that alone. So
Mhm.
thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. I wish I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but I know you need to go and I respect your time. So I want to say thank you for coming on, and I look forward to our next conversation. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, just the littlecacao.co and the littlecacaovitamins.co. We can ship in the US, but it's really expensive, but it's all about building a brand. So hopefully you can root us on from the US, and that will be down there pretty soon.
Count on it. Absolutely love
Perfect.
it. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Want to get more runway out of your available resources? Start here. Most founders are under pressure. Margins are tight, cash flow matters. Retailers expect more, shoppers are hard to predict, and big competitors can absorb mistakes small brands simply cannot. That's why this matters. Most brands don't have a spend problem, they have a visibility problem. The reports tell you what happened, but they don't always tell you why it happened, what influenced it, or whether profit's leaking or what to fix first. That's why I created the free 15-minute CPG Runway Leak Finder. It's a fast, founder-first diagnostic that helps you identify hidden leaks in promotions, timing, placement, deductions, execution, visibility gaps, and decision quality. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Answer the questions honestly. If you hesitate, that may be where the leak is. Before you raise more money, cut the wrong thing, or fund another promotion, find the money that's already leaking inside your business. Download the free leak finder at retailsolve.com/find leaks. No friction, no email required. Then join the free Retail Clarity Workshop to learn how to prioritize what to fix first. Thanks again for joining me today on the Bulletproof Your CPG Brand podcast. If this episode helped you see your business differently, please follow, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with another founder who's working hard to protect margin, improve execution, and grow with limited runway. You can also download this episode's free guide in the show notes. And if you want to start with the bigger picture, download the free 15-minute CPG Runway Leak Finder at retailsolve.com/find leaks. No friction, no email required. It will help you quickly identify where your cash, margin, execution, and decision quality may already be leaking inside your business. Before you raise more money, cut the wrong thing, or fund another promotion, find the money that's already leaking inside your business. Please reach out and share your most pressing question, and I'll do my best to get you the answers that you need on future episodes, including with expert advice and CEOs and industry thought leaders. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. At retailsolve.com/session 323.